What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show. We discuss everything you need to know about and what's happening here in our country on a daily basis. We got some major stuff to discuss here. The Department of Justice has sent a ruling to the Supreme Court, which I will show you here in this video. Also, a debt limit showdown is going to happen here very, very soon. Congress needs to rule on it here, or our country could actually default. Remember, this happened here previously, and this could mean our country could actually default on its debt. And it also means that if this happens, really a lot of things could happen. If the country defaults, they won't have any money because they can't print new money without the debt limit being raised, and I'll let you hear a congressman talk about this. This means that no money for Social Security would be able to go out, no money for bond payments would be able to go out, no money for anything would be able to go out. And we'll talk about that here in this video as well. So this is a major, major thing here. Remember, the last time this happened, the government's credit rating actually got downgraded because it was almost not going to be passed. So, yeah, this is going to be a major issue here. And you see how divided Congress is. The Republicans couldn't even agree amongst themselves for 15 votes to pass a leader just on the Republican side, let alone Republicans and Democrats agreeing together. So if one party can't even agree amongst themselves, how are two different parties going to agree? And it shows you how divided Congress is right now. Yeah, so let's jump right in. Here we go. Thank you so much for liking and sharing these videos. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new videos. Completely free to do so. Here we go. Okay, first up, student loan forgiveness. The Department of Justice has made a ruling and told the Supreme Court that Biden has had clear permission from Congress to execute his plan for student loan forgiveness. Yeah, so this is kind of a big ruling here from the Department of Justice. And remember, if the Supreme Court rules that the student loan forgiveness of up to $10,000 to $20,000 of student loan forgiveness, which is basically like a stimulus check per se kind of program for up to like 40 million plus Americans, which is a lot of people. 40 million Americans, it's over 40 million Americans, goes through. It's literally like a hallelujah moment for these 40 million plus Americans. So they're going to be ruling on this, or starting ruling on this, next month. Also, this sets the precedence for other type of debt relief programs. Remember, I just did a video on some states that are already doing medical debt forgiveness. So that's already happening from some states. States are doing hundreds of millions of dollars in medical debt forgiveness. Congress actually has a bill where they're considering medical debt forgiveness on a nationwide program. Remember that about 1 in 5 Americans have medical debt, possibly even more. So this could happen on other types of front as well. But will we see other types of debt forgiveness, like medical debt forgiveness, like we're already starting to see happen, credit card debt forgiveness, mortgage debt forgiveness, IRS tax debt forgiveness? Very possible. We're already seeing student loan debt forgiveness. In fact, $35 billion or something like that has already happened through other types of programs. Medical debt forgiveness is already happening. We could see other stuff like IRS tax forgiveness, credit card debt forgiveness. Who knows what other type of debt forgiveness could happen as well. But take a look at this. The Department of Justice filed an 86-page brief with the Supreme Court regarding President Joe Biden's halted student loan forgiveness program, and said that Education Secretary's actions fall comfortably within the law and that his plan is both reasonable and reasonably explained. They said, quote, in defining the key aspects of the plan, the secretary examined the available economic and historical data and tailored the relief to the relevant statutory objective, ensuring that borrowers affected by the pandemic would not be in a worse position financially with regard to their student loan obligation. In the brief, the Department of Justice discredited one of the lawsuit's arguments, which states that the program will diminish their tax revenues, the state's tax revenues. Apparently, that's all they're worried about. The argument is flawed for several independent reasons. The state's alleged harm is self inflicted. A federal policy's incidental effects on states' tax revenues are not judicially cognizable injuries in any event, and the incidental injuries the states posit rest on a chain of speculation, the Department of Justice said. Also, I found this very interesting here. You can see here Senator Bernie Sanders calls out Trump pausing student loan payments as a reason why Biden's student loan debt relief plan is legal. So listen to this, because this I thought was very interesting, because if former President Donald Trump had the legal authority to pause student loan debt payments and thereby pausing the interest and canceling the interest, because those payments are still paused to this day. Biden has extended that same order, and student loan payments are still paused, and the interest is paused and canceled. That is essentially canceled debt. Let's cancel the student loan debt, the interest that has accumulated for like almost 3 years now. That gone back to 2020, that is still going on. So that is essentially canceled student loan debt, the interest that was accumulating all the way back since 2020. So that is student loan debt cancellation, student loan debt forgiveness. So former President Donald Trump did that. He did student loan debt forgiveness, student loan debt cancellation. It's literally pretty much the exact same thing. You guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. And he did that through the exact same type of thing. You can see here, Bernie Sanders says, quote, let's be clear. If Trump had the authority to pause student loan debt payments, which actually canceled the debts, President Biden had, it canceled the debt interest, that accumulated here every month. President Biden has the authority to cancel student loan debt as well, Sanders wrote on Twitter on Friday. The Supreme Court must reject the Republicans' baseless lawsuits to take away student debt relief to 40 million Americans who desperately need it. Sanders is referring to Trump's usage of the HEROES Act of 2003, which is the exact same act that Biden is using for student loan forgiveness, which gave the education secretary the ability to waive or modify student loan balances in connection with a national emergency like the pandemic, which in March of 2020, Trump used the act to pause student loan payments and waive interest. So let me know your thoughts here on this. If former President Donald Trump used the HEROES Act of 2003 to pause payments and waive interest, waive debts, at this point it's been thousands of dollars for a lot of people. Is that okay for Trump to use the HEROES Act of 2003, but not Biden to use the HEROES Act of 2003? Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Okay, next up, we have a major debt limit ceiling looming. And last time around, the government's credit rating was actually downgraded, the entire credit rating of the United States of America. I believe this was the first time this has ever happened. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But the government's AAA credit rating was downgraded, and it wasn't a pretty sight. And this was just at the hint of a government default. If the government actually defaulted, they wouldn't be able to pay any of their bills. They would run out of money. And they would have no money in their checking account. They wouldn't be able to print any new money because the government would be out of money. The government can't print any new money, essentially, if they don't pass what's called a debt limit or debt ceiling bill, to which Congress has to do. And they have to do this just to essentially pay their debts, pay the interest on all past money. So all the bond money that's out there, just to fill the checking accounts of the governments, just to be able to pay the government bills, just to pay the electric bills and gas bills and the rent bills of the government. Remember, there were about $31 trillion in debt. Back in around 1990, we were $3 trillion in debt. So whether it's a Republican president, Democratic president, the debt's going up. It's going to continue to go up. Remember, former President Donald Trump added about $8 trillion in debt in 4 years, more than any other president in 4 years. How much Biden's going to add, I don't know. Whether it's going to be more, less, or the same, somewhere around there, we'll see after the 4 years is up. But one thing's for sure is that in 1990, it was around $3 trillion we had in total national debt. Now we're at $31 trillion. But on the other hand, you almost could say, does it matter? Is it a fictionary number? Because, until this recent inflation spike here that we had over like the last year or so, inflation wasn't that bad. So you could, just kind of go back here before the pandemic here, and the debt, was, Trump racked up $8 trillion in debt, and the debt was like, just shy of $30 trillion, and so the fiscal debt is not really in correlation to inflation. As crazy as that might sound to some people, it's not. Inflation and the fiscal debt of the government does not necessarily mean inflation. Okay. But for example, the government is almost to the point now they're spending $1 trillion every single year on the military budget. So just the military budget of our defense of our country is getting close to almost $1 trillion a year every single year, whether it's wartime, peacetime, or not. Yeah, it's becoming that much. And remember, that money's not even audited. We don't even know where it goes. It just goes to the different branches, and then they don't tell us anything about it in the instance of, they say national security. And don't get me wrong, I have multiple veterans in my family. My brother is a veteran. My grandfather was at Pearl Harbor 2 days before Pearl Harbor hit. Trust me, I'm a pretty much, patriot through and through. But, it is kind of becoming a lot of money. Especially with, Putin out there nowadays, it's, kind of like, it's like, hey, we definitely need to make sure our country's secure. But, over half of the $1.7 trillion went to just the defense of our country. So it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So like when you look at that $1.7 trillion that like a lot of people were up in arms and about, over half of that money just went straight to the military. Yeah. So when they talk about like, oh, we got to cut this, we got to cut that, it's just like, well, over half that money went right to the military. So when you talk about like, oh, what can we cut? Where can we be fiscally responsible? That was over half the money gone, just right there. So it's just like, and then you also kind of gotta think about here, like, and then they're going to talk about in this debt limit bill. Republicans have been talking about potentially cutting Social Security. It's one of the big things here. Medicare, Medicaid are some of the things on the block. Yeah, so we're going to see what happens here, because remember, this is one of the big looming arguments here on the block here. Here is Republican Congressman Chip Roy from Texas about the looming debt limit negotiations Congress is going to have here very soon. Take a listen.
McCarthy promised, one of the promises was not to raise the debt ceiling without some accompanying spending cuts.
Correct.
Congress had a similar showdown trying to force spending cuts in 2011.
Yep.
It led to America's credit rating getting downgraded because they weren't able to arrive at a deal. The markets felt the U.S. government had become, according to the downgrading, quote, less stable, less effective, less predictable. And that had a real tangible detrimental effect on the American people and their pocketbooks, their retirement savings. What's the plan to make sure that doesn't happen again? That the chaos we saw this week, or whatever you want to call it, doesn't become just what happens every time, especially when we're talking about major must-pass legislation like raising the debt ceiling, which is just about paying the bills for what has already been paid.
Well, the fastest way to guarantee that we have debt rating problems is to keep spending money we don't have and keep piling up debt, and that's what we're doing. The uniparty in Washington, Republicans and Democrats, the power brokers, which, by the way, were reflected by Mike Rogers when he goes in and he's pushing back on the
He says,
rebels.
I will finish you,
right.
he said.
So why is that? Because when you push back on the swamp's going to push right back. We saw that in display. That's okay. So you say, well, are we going to have this kind of conflict going forward? I hope so, but we started this now. It's January. So the debt ceiling or the debate is going to be in a few months. Let's do it now, guys. Let's get this out there. Both sides of the aisle, everybody within each party, let's figure out how we're going to actually fix this, because the American people are sick of us not doing our job.
There is a bigger risk, though, for the U.S. defaulting on the debt when it comes to the debt ceiling vote than some short-term embarrassment for Kevin McCarthy. The default is a bigger deal and could actually cost billions of dollars.
Understood. But remember in 2011 when that cap and balance was negotiated and put in place, and frankly, it worked for 4 or 5 years to constrain spending. Now, it had some side effects. Defense spending was getting whacked pretty good. And we don't want to see that. We want to be able to figure out how we can get this going the right way to make sure defense is protected. But we need to put limits on spending and then get to the table. You have to do that at home, Jake. I have to do that at home. Every American has to do that. If we don't stop spending money we don't have, I promise you, we will never sit at a table. Colin Allred, who's going to be on here in a little bit, that I was talking to in the green room, Colin and I need to be able to sit at a table and figure out how we're going to fix this for the country.
Yeah.
We can't do that if the leaders jam through $1.7 trillion omnibus bills like happened in December, where we have no debate on the floor. We have to open this debate up, offer amendments, do our work, limit spending within our means, and then move the country forward.
If McCarthy fails to offer a debt ceiling bill that has offsetting spending cuts, if he offers what the Democrats in the Senate want, which is a clean bill, would you vote to vacate the speakership? Because it will now be able to be one person making that motion to vacate the speaker.
Look, I'm not going to play the what if games on how we're going to use the tools of the House to make sure that we enforce the terms of the agreement, but we will use the tools of the House to enforce the terms of the agreement.
Yes, you can see here, it's going to be an interesting year. So I'll keep you up to date here. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button right now and then the bell icon if you haven't yet. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here's some videos you can watch next. Here's a video about new $900 checks going out to Americans. And here's a new video about Social Security and urgent warning you need to know about. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you in the next video.